There seems to be an adoration for the inventiveness and intelligence and arrogance of man, of humanity. It's as if humanity is at war against nature, because we are subject to natural laws, because we are nature. Here we are looking for ways to improve it, to change it, and it won't work. It doesn't work. It has never worked. If you cut your hand real deeply and you go to the surgeon, the most the surgeon can do is approximate the edges, bring it together. You have to heal it. The surgeon doesn't heal it. So when I hear someone say, he was a fantastic surgeon, look at my scar. He healed you? Is that not arrogant? Be very careful. We need to understand where we are. What gets in our way is our minds. Now, if you look around, you're going to find there are many, many gimmicks. Some people may have read a book. It was first published in 1909 by Dr. Tilden, called Toxemia Explained. I'm going to paraphrase, but in there he says, man has always been looking for a savior, and when not looking for a savior, he's looking for a cure. He's always looking to get something for nothing. And rather than begging, borrowing, stealing, or trying to purchase a cure, wouldn't it make more sense to stop building disease? That's the theme of what I would like to talk about, is what Dr. Tilden talked about and Hippocrates talked about. We all have seemed to have forgotten about it. And we all here's the cure. There is no the cure. Disease is because of the violation of natural laws, the diseases that we have. And when I look at people, I have two people walk in the door, and both of them have stage 3 breast cancer. One of them embraces the lifestyle changes. The other one doesn't. Guess who's still around in 2 years? So it doesn't matter how good anyone is at getting rid of cancer. If you don't stop making it, it's irrelevant. And if we have the audacity to use the word doctor before our names, then we should be teaching. So if we're teaching, what are we going to teach people? We're going to teach them how to stop building disease. That's what our real roles should be if we're doctors. Otherwise, we have to call ourselves what? Physicians. And open up treatment facilities where people come in and they say, hey doc, here's my disease, fix it, I'll be back in a month. That doesn't work, does it? Because the very premise is false. But every doctor that says okay to that has just entered into a false contract, which is actually mercenary. Because in their heart of hearts, they know that they're not doing what they should do. And what they should do is teach how to stop building disease. But the only way you can teach it is if you know it. And the only way you can know it is if you live it. And the only way you can live it is if you had learned it. So, and guess what? It is so complex, no one will ever figure it out. And you don't have to. Do you think I have to explain this to a dog? Do I have to explain this to a cat? To an elephant? No. Instinctively they know. Animals are plugged into the wisdom of nature through a mechanism known as instinct, which we've had forcibly removed from us at the age of 2 days. Right? The first thing we learn is no. Stop. Don't. Do this, change, stay in here, stay away from that life form, stay away from that life form. So what happens is that we start symbolizing the world in our minds, and it's called culture, enculturation. And if you're Chinese, you think you've got the best one, and if you're Italian, you think you have the best one. And the truth is they're all abominations, because they all take you away from nature. Why is that an abomination? Because we are nature. And that's the beginning of the lie that leads us down this path, where here we are looking for cures. So is it not better to stop building disease? Of course it is. Does anything else work? No. George Burns smoked cigars until the age of 100. Should I recommend it? Because people will always say, yeah, but my uncle did this. My grandfather did this. That's a testament to nature. In spite of everything they did, they still made it to 100. Imagine if we lived according to the laws of nature. We're trying to figure out all the reasons that we die and get sick. And wild animals who have no interface with humans die from less than 10 diseases. Why is it? Why is it that 200, 300, 500 animals in the forest can drink out of the same watering hole and not get sick, and here we are sterilizing our water and drinking it out of bottles, and we're all getting sick? Did you ever wonder why that is? 1 out of 2 men will get cancer in their lifetime. 1 out of 2.8 women will get cancer in their lifetime. Every 25 seconds, one of us dies of heart disease. This doesn't happen in nature. So the reason all this is happening is because we have strayed. We have lost our way. So now we're living in boxes. We all got here in a machine, and then we're going to go home and look at machines. We're going to purchase our food from machines. And every once in a while, we might say, let's go out to the country to get close to nature. Well, what's this? You can't get any closer. You're sitting in it. Now, you grow up. If there's anything on this planet that you can call yours, it's your body. How many people know how to take care of their body? Paracelsus is called the father of modern medicine, but he was much more than that. And he's really not the father of modern medicine at all. He would vomit if he knew what modern medicine turned out to be. He said, the person who's not their own physician by the age of 40 is a fool. So the best we can do to our beloved fellow creatures on this planet is teach them how not to be fools anymore. And the only way we can do that is to live it. And I go to conferences and I see my fellow alternative doctors eating abysmally. I will not eat with them. I will not sit with them. I'm appalled. And every time I come to them, I can't believe they're still alive. Wow. There's a really important book you might want to read called The China Study by T. Colin Campbell. It sort of ends the debate on those who still think there's a debate. Please read it. T. Colin Campbell, Dr. Campbell. He's a PhD professor emeritus from Cornell University, and it's based on 25, 30 years of NIH-granted research. Cornell, Oxford University, and then a Chinese university. But that's one of many. And anyway, once the light goes on and you realize that we're part of nature, you'll realize all this makes sense. If I were to give you the talk I give each patient, at the end of the talk you would say, I already knew all that. Of course we already know that. We know the truth. We're at home with the truth. When you learned how to count to 10 and then someone said, by the way, 1 plus 1 is 2, you went, yeah, of course. You know, but if someone's up here pointing and they've got all kinds of explanations and you're scratching your head, it's not true. The truth is simple and so complex we'll never understand it. I lived in Hawaii for 15 years. I've been to the Himalayas, to the forests. I've been to Costa Rica. I've been to Vanuatu. Many jungles around the world. I've never seen supplement trees or vitamin trees anywhere. There are no lycopene trees, but there are tomatoes. And the tomatoes, not only is there lycopene, but there's beta-carotene, there's fiber, there's vitamin C, and there's minerals. And they're all woven together in the most incredibly divine way that we'll never, ever, ever figure it out. And guess what? You don't need to. Just eat it. One of the things that's very important in this is to understand, what is nature's cure? What do all animals do when they're sick? They stop eating. And remember, all animals who are plugged into nature through instinct either vomit or get diarrhea, and then they'll lie down and heal. Healing comes from within. Fasting. There's not one spiritual leader that didn't fast. Anyone who has got any bit of health must have fasted. Let's try to figure out where we fit in nature, okay? Because unlike dogs, we have to try and think about it. And there are two basic groups of mammals. One group has vertically moving jaws, acidic saliva, short digestive tracts, and they pant. When they eat, they chase another animal, they break its neck, they rip open its abdomen, and they eat the organs, pancreas, rectum, a liver, kidneys, heart, lungs. They chew the eyeballs. They luxuriate in the gore, and they're called carnivores. If I handed anyone in this room a chicken, you would not rip its head off and eat it alive, and neither would your grandparents or their grandparents or their grandparents or their grandparents, because we simply are not carnivores. New York Museum of Natural History. Anyone ever been there in Manhattan? You go to it and you go to the carnivore section. The only place you find humans is on this side of the ropes, okay? Can we get away with it? Sure. Can we smoke? Sure. Can we shoot heroin? Sure. Are we going to achieve optimal functioning? No way. Optimal functioning is the only definition of health. We were all fitted for optimal functioning for health by nature. All animals, I mean eagles, we have no idea what the optimal functioning of a human is. Einstein used 8% of his brain. There are guys in Vilcabamba, Machu Picchu, Abkhazia, Georgia, fathering children at the age of 110. We have people here 35 asking for Viagra. So we have no idea what optimal functioning of a human is, but we're far from it. 1 out of 2.5 of us in this room will get cancer in our lifetime. That's tragic. And what's even more tragic is 98% of you will go out of this room and plant some more seeds. So there's that group of mammals. Those carnivores, there's something akin to a carnivore. It's a cousin. It's called a scavenger. These are hyenas and jackals. They like to eat corpses, much like you and I. The only difference between them and us is that these hyenas and jackals still have, and so they don't eat the corpse after 72 hours. We, being devoid of instinct, we slaughter an animal and it gets stiff. We can't eat it, we'll break our teeth, so we hang it up for 96 hours and allow it to decay, but we don't call it decay, we call it aging. Just like we call it health insurance instead of disease insurance, we call it life insurance instead of death insurance. We do all those things, that's what we do. We're really good at fooling ourselves, aren't we? The truth is, it's a decayed corpse. So we take this piece of decayed corpse home. Can you eat it? No, you stick it in the oven. Pull it out of the oven. Can you eat it? No, you put salt, pepper, and A1 steak sauce on it. So we not only do not eat the food of the carnivore, we do not eat the food of the scavenger. We eat the food of the maggot. Can't imagine why we get sick, can you? Now listen, the other group of mammals, elephants, rhinos, hippos, giraffes, horses, cows, gorillas, bonobos. Jaws move horizontally as well as vertically, full cheeks, full lips, alkaline saliva, long digestive tracts. And we don't pant, except on honeymoons. We sweat. Anyway, this group was designed by nature for a plant-based diet. Even if you don't want that to be true, it's true. Even if you don't want to believe if you step off a building you're going to fly, you won't. You're going to fall at 32 feet per second squared. Okay, that's just the way it is. Now remember, we're talking about energy exchange. When someone gets old and finally dies, what happens? They run out of energy. Now, all the energy on this planet comes from the sun. It's captured by plants, and as you know, all transfers of energy, you lose 90% and you remain 10%. So the plants capture and keep 10% of that energy, that solar energy. They grow up 300 feet tall. They live 2,000 years. That's pretty impressive. Okay, the next longest lived and most powerful creatures on the planet are the ones that eat the plants. Elephants, rhinos, hippos. Do you think the king of beasts, the lion, attacks a healthy rhino? No. Healthy elephant? No. How about longevity? All the vertically moving carnivores live 15 years. Horses, 28 to 40 years. Elephants, 60 to 90 years. Chimps, 55 years. So the animals that eat the plants live the longest. How about endurance? Cheetahs run 70 miles an hour for how long? 3 minutes. Horses run all day, every day. Endurance, longevity, strength, intelligence all go to the plant eaters. And guess what? The animals that eat the animals don't eat the animals that eat the animals. Lions eat zebras. Why? Better quality flesh. Who wants to be better quality flesh? All right? So, it's actually real simple. And guess what? We are the only organism on the planet that thermally degenerates our food before ingesting it. Nature made tomatoes, not tomato sauce. Apples, not applesauce. In fact, apples were baked to perfection by the sun. If you understand that very simple thing, that by living in this urban, artificial environment, which only leads to, look, go to the mall, go to any street in America and look around, what do you see? All you see is sickness because of this artificiality. Our only connection, if you're going to continue to live in this artificial environment, is to eat the food the way nature designed it. If you take a potato, and you know those potato clocks, you put in 2 prongs, it works. The potato has life. You bake that potato, it doesn't work. It's dead. Now, if we're eating for energy exchange, how much energy can you get from a corpse? Not a lot unless you are a maggot. To maintain health and vigor, we have to eat according to our natures. And if we eat according to our natures, we can then achieve optimal functioning. And optimal functioning easily overcomes cancer, easily overcomes anything. You know, the average 60-year-old adult has had cancer 5-6 times in their life that they have overcome. They didn't know it. So cancer is not a big deal. Diabetes is just an eating disorder. Diabetes type 2, is an eating disorder. How do I know? Because I've had people who were scheduled for amputation on insulin have normal blood sugars within a week. Took diabetics from around the country, put them on raw, vegan diets, and it went away. But don't you need protein? I don't know. Next time you're at the zoo, I want you to tap an elephant on the shoulder and say, "Excuse me, man, where'd you get your protein?" Or if you see any horses, ask them where they got their protein. How'd they get so strong? Do you need a middleman? No. The truth is, we don't need... How much protein do we have? Do we need? Well, let's go back to when we were babies. When we were babies, we were helpless, but our bodies had to double and triple. Even adolescents don't double and triple. You don't go from 4 feet to 8 feet. But babies double and triple. How do they do that? With milk. Okay, mammals are born helpless. They need milk. So carnivores have 29-30% protein in their milk. Horses 23%, cows 15%, chimps 7-8%. We have 3 to 5%. So at the time in our lives when our protein needs are maximum, nature says we need 3 to 5% of our calories to be protein. Broccoli is 35% protein. Asparagus 32% protein. Dead cows are only 26% protein. Potatoes are 8% protein. How many doctors have ever admitted anybody with a disease called Kwashiorkor's disease or marasmus in this country? Those are diseases of protein malnourishment. You cannot get it in this country. unless you're eating only Twinkies. But no, that happens. So perhaps maybe even Twinkies you can't do it. The point is we are either the most highly evolved or the pinnacle of creation. We don't need a lot of amino acids. The beauty is you know all this stuff. And I just want you to realize that the cure comes from within. It never comes from without. You cannot buy a cure, but you can earn your health.